Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today we'll be checking out the Chuwi SurBook tablet. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So a quick look at the specs, and what we have here is an IPS 12.3-inch display with a resolution of that mess, and I'll explain why I think it's a mess. It's got Windows 10 as usual, the usual Chuwi Apollo Lake processors that they always go for whatever reason, probably because it's cheap or something. 6 GB of RAM, and 128 GB of eMMC storage. Also comes with a nice color gray, and that is all. Now, something about Chuwi that really bothers me, and I have no idea why they're doing this. I mean, they could have had some really nice laptops, or tablets too, but they don't. The reason is they always tend to go for a large screen with a really high resolution, and they go for the Apollo Lake processors. These guys right here. And they're not that powerful. These processors can barely run Photoshop at 1080p. Now, as usual, I think it's going to perform just as well as this thing, which is not that good. But who knows? We'll see how it does. This is the Chuwi HI13. It is a drawing tablet. It does have this pen right here, which we'll be using to test out the SurBook as well. But this is a 13.3-inch 3K display. A really nice display, don't get me wrong. A really nice keyboard, a pretty good touchpad, but again, it doesn't perform that well. And especially if you're an artist, you might struggle running some programs. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at this thing. So here it is. It also comes with a screen protector, as always, with these Chinese tablets, which is good. Seems like they have went for a kind of a Surface kind of design, which does remind me of the Teclast X5 Pro. Now this guy actually has some really good performance. It has one of those M3 processors, and it also has the kind of Surface design. It's actually really nice. It's pretty fast, but it doesn't support drawing. So if you're looking for drawing, we're going to have a separate video comparing the SurBook, as well as my favorite tablet right here, and that would be the Cube Mix Plus. And I'll tell you guys right now, this is an amazing tablet. It has some really nice performance. It can draw. It can do a lot of things with this thing. It's 12.3 inches, I believe, or 10, I'm not too sure, but nonetheless, it is a really powerful tablet that can play games fairly okay. It can do drawing, and it can handle whatever application that you throw at it. It is absolutely awesome, so look forward to it. But if you want to watch my older review, I'll leave a link for that in the description below. Before we go too deep into the tablet itself, let's take a look at what's inside. So here we have what seems like a manual. Yep, so we got the warranty stuff, and that's something cool. That is the first that I see actually, and that would be an Intel sticker. Pretty cool. They actually include that. We have a QC code, more warranty instructions, and a whole bunch of things, which is nice to see, but obviously we're not going to touch that. Moving on, let's see what kind of charging method we have here. Okay, so it's an AC adapter that is a Type-C, which is nice to see. So it supports 12 volts at 2 amps, which is good. So in case you need another charger or you lose this charger, you can just grab any compatible Type-C charger and use it for this tablet. The cable here is a 2-prong cable. It's a standard one. Although you might get a European or a US one, you can easily change it. They're cheap. You can get it anywhere, and you probably have something laying around. So yeah, China's always pushing up for the Type-C, which is really nice. Again, 12.2 inches. That crazy resolution, it's IPS. So we got a front camera here, a back camera here, the kickstand, which should have the SD card slot under it. Alright, there we go. It's right there. And this type of kickstand, okay, what is this? Okay, whatever. And this type of kickstand, it's actually different from the Surface. I actually like this way more, but who knows how this will perform? We'll find out. As you notice, there are no clicks. So that's really nice. You can easily adjust it to whatever position you want, which is really awesome. And then the final form, which is this one, and I believe that's what you're going to be using to draw on this tablet. And it's pretty stable. It does go in a bit, but it's not that bad. So if you were drawing, you can definitely get some work done like this. Take a look at the bottom here. That is where the optional keyboard is attached. So that is how it connects. It's magnetic and just like the Surface. On the left side, we got a speaker. On the right side, we got another speaker. So stereo speakers firing sideways. And this is actually pretty interesting. All we get here on the side is 4 ports. Now you may think that these are USB 2.0, but they're actually 3.0. You can tell from the connections that are in there. You get a Type-C port, that is where you charge this thing. And if you want video out, you can grab a dongle. And finally, we have the headset jack on the side and the volume and power button on the top here. So that is pretty much it for the outside. Let's go ahead, power it up, and see what we have here. Alright, so it seems like the user account has not been created, which is nice, because usually you'll get a tablet with a pre-made user account, because sometimes you'll see that in some tablets. So here we have the pen. Let's see if it's charged. I haven't touched it in a long time. There we go. You got a flash. Let's see if it works. Yep, there we go. Just like that. So yeah, it is detected without any issues. So I'm going to go ahead, set it up, and we'll be back in just a bit. Yep, goodbye, Cortana. Don't want to see you again. Go away. Alright, so I went ahead, set up the tablet, installed my programs, tested some things out, and did some benchmarks. So I've only tested the main things that you're really going to be using this tablet for, which is probably going to be video or mainly drawing, because this thing can draw, and that's probably the biggest selling point of this tablet. So I've got a lot to say about this thing, good and bad, and of course this is Chuwi. So this CPU here, of course, is not the fastest CPU. It's actually pretty slow in my opinion, and on top they put a high resolution display. Anyways, talked about enough about that. Let's go ahead and see what this thing can do. This thing's actually sold out right now, but let's go ahead and take a look at the benchmarks real quick. So starting with Cinebench, of course the score here is pretty much horrible. So really don't expect to do any photo or video editing on this thing. It's gonna be really laggy. Now something I just noticed, let's see. Yep, there's something that I just noticed. On these corners right here, I'll zoom into that. You can probably already see it here. The corners are green. And that is not because of the windows. That is actually because some kind of light bleed. So that is something you're gonna notice. Good thing I caught that right now. But yeah, here's the score for the built-in eMMC storage. It's actually not bad. It's doing pretty well. 159 for read and 114 for write. Pretty good if you ask me for an eMMC storage. So that's pretty good. And then moving on to the SSD storage. So I have an external SSD in here. Of course, the numbers here are not the original SSD scores because you got USB and then you got the USB controller on the enclosure that I'm using here. And finally, the SD card slot, it's USB 2.0, so don't expect any blazing fast 3.0 speeds on the SD card slot. Disappointing, but oh well. But yeah, I'm really noticing these edges. They are really tinted. Backlight bleed probably is a big thing in the corners here. Alright, so it seems like it's only in the corners, and it's really not noticeable unless you're in that window where there's gray in the corners. Otherwise, you're not going to notice it, but it is there, so keep that in mind. 4K video does work, and as usual, when you first play the video and let go of the mouse, you gotta wait for the overlay to disappear before the video smooths out completely. So you gotta wait for the video to smooth out. During those few seconds when you let go of the mouse or the touchscreen, you will see some dropped frames. Let me show you what that looks like over here. So we're gonna pause the video, and then we're gonna play it again. And it doesn't seem like it's doing it now, but overall, it does work very well. And it does play 4K video. So if you want to watch 4K video on this, you can. Of course, the display here is not 4K, but it's pretty close. Now let's go ahead and talk about the speakers here. They are not the loudest, but if you do put it all the way to 100%, which you're probably going to be doing anyways, you'll notice some really small kind of crackling, hissing noise in the back. And that's because the speakers are kind of getting distorted. But it's not that bad to the point where you just want to not listen to it anymore. So let's go ahead and see what it sounds like. So as you guys can see, the audio quality is actually not bad. It's, if you really listen really closely, you might notice it. But overall, I'm actually pretty impressed with the speakers compared to other tablets, because these type of tablets usually have some really bad speakers, and this one is actually pretty acceptable. And yeah, so if you want to listen or watch something on this thing, it's not going to be the worst experience. It's actually pretty good compared to other tablets. Now let's go ahead and talk about games. Games here are not going to run very well. So if you want to run games, you're looking at Counter-Strike Source running at 720p with the lowest settings and in specific small maps like Crack House. You will get some playable frame rates, retro games and emulators of course, and you can probably play the old Trackmania forever on this thing and you know, barely get by. So don't get this thing if you want to do a bit of gaming here and there. If you do, I have something way better than this tablet, which I'll show you guys at the end of the video. I've already talked about it in the beginning. It's the Cube Mix Plus. It is an amazing tablet. It's also on sale. This thing's actually out of stock and it's pretty expensive compared to the Cube, and the difference, it's insane. I'll be making an updated dedicated video on the Cube Mix Plus in the upcoming days, so look forward to that. So let's go ahead and see how this thing performs when it comes to drawing applications, because this thing does support pressure sensitivity, and I do have its pen right here. So this is the type of pen that will use quad A batteries just like the Surface tablets. If you plan to get this tablet with this pen, make sure you go ahead and order some brand new batteries from Amazon for like 10 bucks. You get 8 of them. because the batteries that do come with them, they're already out of juice. Let's go ahead and get started with the best softwares that do work. So we're going to get started with Paint Tool SCI, and I'm impressed. This is the first time I run these programs, and I really like how optimized they are. So something you're going to notice here on this tablet is that the interface is really small, and that is of course because tablet is a high resolution. So not all the programs are going to be scaling properly. Some of them might scale up, but you might see some blurriness here and there, but overall they're going to work. So here's what this looks like. The performance here is actually really good, and I'm really impressed. You can see I have a large brush and it's not struggling to keep up. That said, that doesn't mean this thing is actually powerful. It's just that this software is really nicely optimized. So yeah, Paint Tool SCI works very well, and I'm very impressed with this. So this is a program that I'm probably going to be getting. Now let's move on to File Alpaca. And once again, take a look how smooth this software is. Also very nicely optimized. I'm going to make sure to install this on my Cube Mix Plus and start drawing with it once again. So yeah, another software that you could use to draw. So Clip Studio here scales very well with Windows. So right now Windows is actually scaled at 200%, and the software here is doing very well. Once again, very smooth experience. Perfect, no issues whatsoever. And this is actually a canvas that is 5860 by 4688 pixels. So it's a really huge canvas, and it's not struggling to keep up. So once again, another optimized software that does work on this tablet if you want to draw. And let's go ahead and open up Mischief. Here's another software that does work very well, and yeah, it's performing very good. And finally, the last software in the list here that does work also very well, and that would be Open Canvas. So once again, it's very smooth, buttery smooth. Alright, so here's Photoshop. Prepare to be disappointed. You can see that the performance here is horrible. By the way, these are all empty canvases that somehow opened up because it was so laggy. So, horrible performance, and it is just like the HI13, which has the same processor and actually a higher resolution display. So, and finally we have Krita, but if you're an artist, you probably know that it is pretty badly optimized. It's a nice looking software, does have a lot of cool things, but it's not optimized. So unless you have some crazy hardware, even then you might run into issues here and there, but definitely not on a low-end CPU like this one. You can see here how laggy it is. It's not keeping up whatsoever. Alright, so if you're someone who follows these type of tablets, you're probably asking at this point what the performance is like on the pen itself. Well, sad to break it to you, but it's kind of expected. Well, take a look at this. I'll zoom in here. If you notice, the lines are wiggly, and that's not because of the software. I'll show you in just a bit. For example, let's do a battery here and do a line, and you can see how crooked those lines are. So here's one more time. You can see that it is pretty bad. It's actually really bad, and if you're just doing quick lines like this, you're not going to notice it, but if you do slow lines, that's pretty bad. So just to show you, let's go to Paint, which is something that doesn't have any kind of adjustments or automatic correction. You can see that is not clean. So once again, let's do a couple lines here and there. You can see that they are not straight whatsoever. So it's unfortunate that this pen and this tablet don't work very well. So if you're planning to get this for drawing, don't get it, because there's something better and cheaper. So yeah, that is pretty much it for this tablet. Now let me go ahead and talk about my favorite tablet right here, which I'll have a video on very soon because it is on sale and it is so much better than this thing. I mean, this thing, you guys have saw it's not the best tablet, and it's pretty damn expensive. It may go on sale once it is in stock. There will be coupons for it, but in my opinion, the Cube Mix Plus kills this thing. You know what, let's just go ahead and take a look at it. Alright, so a couple more things that you should really know about this thing before we let it go and put it aside and never look at it again, because you'll see why. The battery life here is pretty good, okay, I would say. You can get around 3.5 to 4.5 hours or so. Out of the box I had about 80%, and I spent about 3.5 hours doing a bunch of things, installing programs, full brightness, while also running some external stuff like a hard drive. So a lot of power output, and the battery life is okay-ish. The other thing that you should really know about here is that this side is slanted, and so are the ports, which means some dongles will not work because they are too far in, and they will fall very easily, just like that. That is why you'll notice that the AC adapter that it comes with has a longer interface. So you can see it sticks out just a tiny bit, but it's very secure. So keep that in mind. Some dongles are not going to work, or some Type-C devices with standard size interfaces are not going to work perfectly. And finally, be prepared for the biggest disappointment of this tablet. The touchscreen here is unresponsive. It's horrible. It is really, really bad. Sometimes it doesn't register, sometimes it misclicks. So let's just put it to sleep. And yeah, rest in peace, SurBook. Now, they do have a SurBook Mini with a 1080p screen and a 10-inch screen, but even then, the CPU is still laggy. And you guys saw, this thing is full of problems. Anyways, let me show you my favorite tablet right here. And again, we're going to have a dedicated video to it. Here it is, the Cube Mix Plus in all its glory. It is a beautiful tablet, absolutely beautiful, full of power. It's a nice form factor. I like this 10-inch screen. It is 1080p, it's IPS, it's beautiful, it's bright. I mean, what do you really ask for? And it is also cheap. Not only that, it's got a more powerful CPU. It's got an SSD instead of eMMC storage, so much faster. It's got a really nice keyboard, and the drawing capabilities is much better. The type of pen that it uses doesn't require any batteries like this one, and it doesn't have any problems like this one. And one more thing, the pen on the SurBook actually doesn't reach the edges. It actually has a little gap between the edges, so you cannot get perfect edge-to-edge tracking. This one does it very well, and that is because it has some offset, so it does get to the edges. But that said, this tablet is a beast. Really had a great time drawing with it, enjoying content on it. It's a beautiful tablet. It's so much faster. Again, I'll leave links for it in the description below, also for my review on it. And it's currently on sale, and it is very cheap, much cheaper than that piece of crap right there. So anyways, stay tuned for that video. It is, again, a beautiful tablet. I can't say that enough. It's solid, it feels great, and it's so much more affordable. And one more thing, yes, you can take the tablet out and separate it from the keyboard right here, which, yes, can also be reversed and be held down like this. So you're not stuck with a keyboard. You can actually flip it over and have a tablet form factor, or a video watching machine, a tablet by itself, or just turn it back into an awesome little laptop. That is pretty much it for this video. Hopefully I've saved your money, saved your life, helped you get something that does work and is so much better. Anyways, stay tuned for this awesome review for this thing, a revisit, which I'll go into more detail and show you guys what's so awesome about it. Anyways, so yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. So thank you all for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe for content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.